We're back with another amazing Formula One weekend. Probably the craziest, most emotional, up and down, twirling around weekend at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix in Brazil.
Insanity.
Brazil.
Bow, bow, bow.
Look at Will.
What
Look at
a
this little
crazy.
fanboy
So
over here.
I'll say this. No, I was just casually wearing this today. Um, I'm not even gonna say what a race. I'm just gonna say what a day
Mm.
for
What a
Formula One.
weekend.
What a weekend.
Literally
Wow,
and
lots of emotions.
figuratively, it rained and it poured with rain and with drama. That was just insane. Uh, I don't know. We saw the qualifying this morning. It was just crazy. How many? I believe in qualifying there was a total of 5 or 6 red flags. I'm not entirely sure.
I
Five
counted
red
5 red
flags.
flags.
Oof, so
It
crazy.
was wild.
Yep.
At
So
no
then
point.
what
Oh
did that
god.
do to the starting lineups again? You had Carlos Sainz coming from the pits, and then
Mm-hmm.
you had Albon, who they couldn't fix his car,
Mm-hmm.
and that was about it, right?
You
Everybody
had
else was able to fix their damage.
yes. Yeah. But we
Yes,
had
including the Aston Martins.
mhm. We
Kind
also
of.
had the Red Bulls getting knocked out because of the red
Mm,
flag.
Q2.
Yes.
We had I mean
Norris
it was
almost getting kicked out in Q1.
yeah. It was wild.
By
At no
by two
point in the
tenths of a
weekend
second.
at no point in the weekend did I have any idea of what was going to happen in the next 5 minutes.
Mm-mm. It was one surprise after
Literally, right?
another, and I loved it.
It was great. Like quali kept getting delayed. Then the next day, then they thought they might not be able to run quali, and it was going to be the grid position from P1.
Mhm. Yeah,
The
Behrman starting P3. What?
the whole thing. I mean, Max would have started P15, and it turned out that he started even further back than P15.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you
Yep.
know how Max Verstappen is. Like, it doesn't mean anything to him starting back there. He can swerve his way up at least somewhere in midfield, getting close to the top, and then boom, things happen.
we
But
had
picture
we had
this.
a
Let's picture this real quick. We wake up, right, and we're watching qualifying, and then we see what happens with Matt getting kicked out in quali, Lando Norris almost winning. And then can you bring up that graphic of the podium? And then we have this podium that came out today. So literally, we woke up in this morning, we watched quality, and we're like, "What the hell's gonna happen in this race?" And then look at this podium.
Esteban Ocon led for like 8 laps and 2 race restarts in this race.
I want to know if anybody in sports betting predicted this.
There's no way.
Oh no.
There's no possible way.
So I was hearing
Won
the
a lot of
F1
money.
talking about because Alpine now in the constructors jumped from ninth to sixth place with this podium, meaning in the prize money in the constructors, it's $30 million difference from them being
That's
where they are
crazy.
now to ninth place.
That's insane.
30 million. Wow.
$30 million.
I want them to find a way to make at least half the races changing conditions, variable conditions.
Yes,
And that would make for
snow. I want to
the
see
best.
dust.
Are you
I
talking
want
about
to
cloud
see.
seeding?
I'm saying schedule half the races for when it's gonna for sure rain.
Okay.
Just do that.
You liked it? I think this was like fun to have like one race like this, you know. But like for them all to be like this, it was so much chaos. Like you could tell that the broadcast was a mess. Even the FIA was a mess. Like they were like, you know what, we'll just review this after the game because after the race we don't, you know, oh we'll do that. Oh, we're not gonna do this. They were all over the place. FIA was crazy this weekend. Can we just talk about real quick the the moment in what was it in the sprint race? Speaking about crazy
I don't want to talk
FIA,
about that.
Did you hear Max when he was like, "Oh, it's clearly being manipulated." He said it
Mm-hmm.
on the radio. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you know what? You know what? I think you're right. I
Look,
think you're right."
he's not
What
wrong.
I want to
There's
know
a
what the
car on the side
explanation
of the
is.
road, and they're not doing
There,
anything about it. And
no,
then they wait for them to switch. So then say, okay, now I'll bring. I was telling the
it's
Eddie, as I was
it's
telling
crazy.
Veronica, I'm like, if they don't swap and a safety car and they call a safety car, they can't switch.
Yeah.
Meaning,
I texted you
as
guys when it was
soon as
happening. I
I
said they
said
need
it,
they need to red flag this. Like there was a car, a smoking car that was clearly unsafe. The driver had to get out of the car, and they didn't red flag it for 2 laps until the McLaren switched. That
It,
was
it, it was clear manipulation. And you know what? You know what? I wanted McLaren to win the whole thing. I wanted Norris to win the whole thing because it was fun and it was different. But they're annoying me with the mistakes, the stupidity, with the, oh, now let's shift priority to Lando. Like, hello, like you really cared about switching that position so Lando could get one more point, right? When you gave away 6 points back in Hungary, if I'm correct, that's the right race it was.
7
Like
points.
7 points. You give away 7 points back in Hungary, and today you care about 1 point? Get out of here. Like McLaren is, they blew it for him and he blew it for himself. And today's race was another example of how he blew it for himself. He lost the control of the car twice. He lost the lead at the race start. I don't know,
not even in turn one,
his
it was
car
still
looked
in the
like
straight.
it struggled to get some speed right at the front. Russell was just gone.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm just so like you kind of I kind of like rooting for the underdog because they were the underdog coming into it, like going up against the giant of Red Bull. But at this point, I'm like, I'm just tired. I'm just annoyed. Like,
It
whatever.
was I mean, today was the perfect scenario for McLaren and Lando. Lando's starting P1, Max starting P17 in the rain, which makes it so much harder to overtake because you can't see in front of you. And
Mhm.
Max was just
Mhm.
cruising through the field. I mean, he gained 7 places. He passed 5 cars, but he gained 7 places on the first lap. He
Did you see
gained
it
like
from the outside?
it was insane.
It was
It
beautiful.
was it was insane. Like I at one point I thought it was Checo overtaking like in the middle of the pack because Checo started like P12 or P11
Mhm.
and no, it was Max. It
And I heard on
was
the on the room, what's that room at the end that they call it?
the
He's
cooldown
like, I
room.
didn't even see Checo the whole race. Like he just
Yeah.
went right around. He's like, I didn't even see
Yeah.
him.
He
I was
spun.
just
Checo
passing
spun
people.
on lap 1. Oh my god, what a I mean, look, I like these races because you can have a podium that looks like this where it's just the
Mm.
3 people who drove the best. The 3 best drivers of the day, if that makes sense. Like Ocon was fast the whole day. Gasly started P13 or P14, something like that. Ended
Gasly
up
did
in the
13.
well in the sprint too.
and
He was
ended
doing
up on the
great this
podium.
weekend.
And it like the car doesn't matter who has the person the constructor with the best car in this situation doesn't matter. Aero doesn't matter. It's just about who drives the best in the rain.
I see what you're saying. So it's almost like in these rainy conditions, you can see who is the best driver, not which team has the best car.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And that's why they call it the great equalizer because it removes so many factors that are out of the driver's control, which is, well, my car's not good enough for points or whatever.
I- in that case, though, I wish that Russell and Norris didn't pit for new tires before the red flag, because then they kind of still would have been up there, and then we really would have been able to see like what the real top 3, top 5 would have looked like if it wasn't for that team mistake from both of them. It would have been interesting to see how that played out.
Yeah. I mean, did you watch Lando's post race interview?
I
He's
saw pieces of it. Which part are you speaking about specifically?
Well, I mean, he defended the team. He said switching tires was absolutely the right call. I mean, they had
Mhm.
no grip left. Like
Mhm.
they needed to switch their tires. Sure, the the like Max, Ocon, and Gasly got lucky with the red flag, in that they didn't have to. There were 2 more cars they didn't have to pass. But I mean, it like today just proved that Max was by far the best driver. I mean, Lando said Max got lucky, that it wasn't talent, which is insane, because Max took the lead and had 17. I'll say it one more time. He had 17 fastest laps.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the safety cars, virtual safety cars, restarts, red flags, they had 20 laps
And
of
the
racing,
river
and he
across.
won by 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Luck.
Like,
That was luck, Eddie. That was
that
luck.
was
You know what bothers me is that
that-
when Lando won the Miami Grand Prix, it was for some lucky thing. Let's be
Mhm.
honest, is the reason why he ended
Right.
up there and he ended up crossing the line. And when it came down to the end of the race and the reporters were mentioning the luck and stuff like that, Max Verstappen was like, "No, like it wasn't luck. Like like he
Yeah.
didn't take that away from him."
Yeah.
But then there's this ugly side of Lando coming out, and he's just like, "Oh, it's luck. It doesn't show skill." You're like, "What?"
I just think I don't know. I just think
Sure.
it's all this tension building up through the season, and
Mhm.
like he had a shot at the championship, and now it's
It's gone.
over.
No, it's gone. I technically, Max has to have a 60-point lead at the end of Las Vegas for him to clinch, lock it in, give him the trophy. But it's over. Like,
He's ahead by 62 points.
yes, he
I
needs to
think
be ahead by
there's
60 after Las Vegas.
Yeah,
If he's ahead by 58, it's still possible.
there's 85
So he
points
can
maybe
clinch
available.
in Vegas then, depending
Mhm.
on the spread
Yeah.
of points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's 85 points, I think. That's the number left. And Lando has to get all 85, and Max can only get 20 for Lando to win.
It's not
There's
possible.
no way that
Mm-mm.
It's not
I
going to
mean-
happen. Max in
Lando
Vegas is a
hasn't
monster.
been. It's not even that. Lando hasn't been maximizing his points every week in the
Mhm.
first place.
Get it?
Oh,
Get it?
see what you did there. I see
Max
what you did
does maximize.
there. But going back to it, that's why I think you're seeing the frustration now, because
Mhm.
my light died.
Sorry.
This is basically the end of this championship fight. And I think that he realizes that, and this is he's going to have a couple weeks to cool off, but it's just unfortunate that that this is how it ended for him, in his view.
Yeah, it's kind of ugly the way it's ending, but it's his
But it's
fault.
been great. I mean, compare it to last season. There was no
Yeah.
championship fight. This year, Red Bull's in
No.
third. Like,
Let's
it's
look
been
With
at
10
everything
races
happening this
since Max
season,
won.
how many?
10. There were 10 races in a row Max did not win.
Mm-hmm.
But still chipping away in the points.
So I believe he won the first 10 races. No, he won at some point. He won 10 races in a row, and then he lost 10 races in a row. Something like that. I read something like that on Twitter.
He won 10 races in a row last year. But I'm saying he won 7 races out of the first 10 this year, I think.
Okay.
And then for the last 10 races, he didn't win a single race. I mean, he won the sprints, but that's just Max doing Max things.
Right.
Max points weekends. But yeah, I think Red Bull's for sure gonna be stuck at. I mean, they're so close to Ferrari. Something could still happen there. I mean, they did get 12 points on Ferrari this weekend. You can see there they walked away with 32, and Ferrari walks away with 20. The best weekend goes to Alpine. Alpine have
35
three
points.
positions, which we already spoke about briefly. And then McLaren, they did better than Ferrari, so that still locks them in, keeping them closer to first. But I think that this constructors championship can come down to the end. In the
McLaren's got a really big gap now, but I still think Ferrari can do it. Oscar hasn't been driving that well last few races, and I mean it's unlucky that Sainz ended up in the wall today. But I mean both Ferraris were having a real hard time out there today.
know, Carlos did the best he could, and when he said sorry to his team over the radio, it was depressing.
Yeah.
Driver
Yeah.
championship wise, we had George Russell hop over Lewis Hamilton, so now he's ahead of him by 2 points. Best weekend goes to Max Verstappen, 31 points. Clearly, nobody scored as many points as he did.
Hmm.
Lando and Charles both with 16, George Russell with 15. And yeah, I mean, Sergio Perez, Lewis Hamilton, terrible weekends with +1. And then you go over to the second half of the championship, and you got Esteban Ocon up 5 places with 18 points
Look
this
at that,
weekend.
man.
Pierre Gasly up 4 places with 17. And Yuki is now sitting at 11.
Yeah. Can we talk real
Okay.
quick about how good the RBs were running? And
So
then
good.
they also got a little bit unlucky. I mean, they were running third and fifth,
hmm
and they switched, onto the extreme wet tires right before the red flag came out.
hmm
That the RBs could have easily been the Alpines today,
I
in
can
the
see
sense
that.
of like, Yuki was running in P3 the whole time
hmm
Mhm.
until they switched, and then there was the Yuki train.
Yeah, yeah, and speaking of RB, Lawson, incredible. Like I love seeing the Lawson Sergio Perez stuff. It was
Dude,
so good. He was like, "You are not passing me. You are not passing." And Lewis Hamilton was like, "Well, I'm gonna take advantage of this moment."
Yeah.
I wonder if
That
there's a
fight that
difference.
fight was great.
I wonder if
Go
there's
ahead,
a
go ahead.
difference in the way that Max and Checo try to overtake Liam, because Liam didn't really fight Max, but I don't know if it's because Max surprised Liam with when he passed him, or if he just didn't want to fight Max the same as he wanted to fight Checo. But Max, I mean, passed him. He pulled up behind him and passed him in one corner, and Checo was behind him for a long time, and he just couldn't pass. And I don't
You're
know if
bringing
it's
up a good point. Like,
a
so
driving
is
style
it the
thing or
fact
if
that people respect Max and they're just like kind of get out of the way?
yeah. So I don't know if it's because he's fighting for Checo's seat that he doesn't want to let him pass,
Mm-hmm.
or if I don't really
Mhm.
know what that situation is. But it was fun to
There was a
watch.
there was a point in the race where they were going at it, right? Back to back, and at one point they touched. They went side by
Mm-hmm.
side
Ooh.
and then they touched. I
Mm-hmm.
was just popcorn. It's like, yes, more. I want more.
I'm gonna need
Uh,
Valtteri Bottas to score 1 point so that he's not in 23rd anymore, because that man does not deserve to be in last place in the in the drivers' championship.
How did he do today? Let me look at
yeah,
the
I think he
results.
finished like 12th or something.
That's not bad. I mean, but he's
13th,
still sitting at 23
13th
after
place.
after that. 13th place, man. Poor guy.
13th place with 5 cars out. So
Yeah. What does
5?
that really mean?
1, 2, 3,
5
4,
cars
5.
out. So we didn't have Carlos
Yeah.
Sainz, Colapinto, Albon, Stroll, and Hulkenberg finish today. Ugh, brutal. Brutal, brutal. Let me see. Was there anything else to talk about in this race that I had written down?
I mean, we can talk about the formation lap troubles.
Oh, that's so dumb.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I think what
Lance
ended
Stroll
up
crashed
happening.
twice on the formation lap.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I'm going to share my screen and show you guys this on Twitter because this stuff about Lance Stroll is it's terrible. Let me bring it up first. Okay. I found it. Here you go. Share screen, show tab, Twitter. There you go. All right. So, first of all, he ends up here, right? Which is fine. Sometimes people lose the rear and they spin out. But then this,
Let
he
me go through
beaches
here.
himself. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like okay, you see this right down here? That's a road. Okay, all right. You see this over here? This is a road. Like he could have taken that road and then turned and gone around. It's like
Or
that's the
just
worst part.
donut
Is
it
that he
right
beaches
there to
himself.
like spin.
Yeah, yeah, that too. This is what caused, I think, like a domino effect of chaos. It was so terrible.
I wonder what the comments are towards that, man.
Oh, let's see. I'm gonna read them.
I hope we have some good memes later on today in this podcast.
Oh, I have some things to show you guys. Okay. Um, there's some things that are kind of mean.
Bring it.
Papa needs to remember that he's running a public company and replace Lance. I don't think it's public. Is it private? I think it's
I
privatized.
mean,
Now you can go buy stock.
maybe you can actually of Aston Martin. You might be able to.
Aston Martin racing team is the same thing as owning. It's not the same thing as owning Aston Martin Auto. Like maybe they're two different things. I don't
It's
know.
just the
Mm.
F1 team.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really good here in the comments. But the good thing is we didn't have to watch him race the rest of the day.
That was
That's
a
true.
plus.
So
I
then
enjoyed
after that, everybody has to go back and they're in formation back at the grid and they're getting ready. And it says, what was it that they said? Start aborted. I believe aborted start.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then Lando just starts driving.
Yeah, I mean they do that a lot though, in the sense where when they abort the start, they do another formation lap so that the
Mhm.
tires don't cool down and cars don't stall and stuff like that because those engines need air going into them.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I'm assuming what the plan was they were gonna have the teams come back out, put those fans in all the air intakes and stuff like that. Put the tire blankets on and stuff while they figured out, how they're gonna get Lance's car out of the gravel. But I don't think there was anything wrong with, like, I know it's probably still under investigation. I don't think they
No, it's
came out with
already
anything.
done.
Oh, okay. They said no
So
further action.
Yuki, no further action, and George Russell and Norris, since they were in the front, they were given a reprimand and fined 5,000 euros each.
Okay. I mean that
That's
seems a
it.
little
It's
excessive to me.
nothing.
Just because I don't know. This is like so often when they abort a start, they just have them do another formation lap. So it's pretty
Weird.
reasonable
You're not
to
wrong. It's
expect
just the
them
fact that like they didn't tell them like
to
formation
go again.
starts now.
Yeah.
Like he just went and he didn't follow the rules technically on paper, and that's why
And then
they
it
did that.
No,
caused
yeah.
But
everybody, right, to go as well.
it was a domino effect. They weren't just gonna like fine everybody, so they just did the people in the front, like on the starting grid,
Yeah.
in the front row. So I think it's stupid. It's irrelevant. It's like fine, that's it. We don't really need to talk about it anymore. But is there anything else that you guys think before we go into predictions?
No. I mean, there's a lot that happened, but it's just like general chaos, and we've kind of already talked
Honestly,
about
we
this stuff.
could
I
be
mean, there
here
was
for like 2 hours talking about it almost.
yeah, for the first 40 laps, there were at least 2 incidents per lap.
Mhm.
I mean, it's hard to cover everything, but like I think for the most part we're good.
Yeah.
I was a
Alright.
little upset with the whole Colapinto crash, bringing out the red flag. You know how many people flew out there to see that guy, and he just
Yeah.
takes it into the wall like that.
Okay. All right. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that real quick. Let's talk about the irony. I was watching the weekend warm up, and one of the reporters, I forgot his name, says that. And what was it, babe? What did he say that I was like freaking out about? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
He basically said that like Brazil like
Oh,
welcomes Franco Colapinto into their arms, and that this is going to be his home race. And I was like, hold on. Like I get what you're saying. Like
I didn't sign anything.
it's South America. I get it. It's the closest race to Argentina. I understand that. I'm like, but I don't think that they know. I know this is not soccer. This is, sports racing, but everybody knows that Brazilians don't like Argentinians and Argentinians don't like Brazilians. It's like
Mhm.
it's set out there. So when I heard him say that on TV, I was like, Whoa, 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 whoa. And everybody's ignoring it the whole weekend. Everyone's like, oh, Colapinto, he's so welcome here. Oh, look at all these Argentinians. Like, the city of Sao Paulo was upset with the amount of Argentinians that were there. So, I don't know. I did read that all the flights coming in and out to Argentina over the weekend were booked, and the buses were booked, and it was just like crazy packed. Um, but just a little fun poking at it. Like Brazilians and Argentinians, they've always had this rivalry, and
Mhm.
this little connection this weekend was just like kind of funny to me.
I mean, I did find it strange, but I didn't really feel the need to comment on it. I mean, I think it's cool that Franco's getting, a growing
The
fan
fan
base because
base.
I think he's a good
Yeah,
driver.
you're not wrong. And yes, you're right about all that. But I was just looking at it from a Brazilian household perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Can
yeah,
I
we could
can
just
I can I prolong this discussion a little bit more too, since we're talking about
yeah.
Colapinto
Mm-hmm.
with Christian Horner going to Williams?
Mm.
Did you hear
What
about the
was he
study?
doing over
I
there?
did. I heard a few things, and there are
What
some
was he
theories that
doing?
make sense to me.
What'd you hear? What'd you
So
hear?
some theories that made sense to me were as
Spill the
follows.
beans.
The first theory is that Red Bull is interested in signing Franco to be in either the second Red Bull seat or to promote Liam Lawson and then put him in the RB seat for next year. Another thing that I heard was buying out Carlos Sainz's contract so that Williams can sign Franco and Red Bull can sign Carlos. And I think both of those options are believable because
So it's
I'm
not just the espresso that they have at the suite.
the Williams suite. I don't think so. I mean, like I think it's safe to say. I mean, we've talked a lot about Checo. Everybody's talked a lot
Mhm.
about Checo. And I mean, we didn't have like a pre-race show because we had power outage issues.
Mhm.
But my wild prediction was that this was going to be Checo's last race in Red Bull.
Mhm.
And maybe they keep him on for the last 3 races, but there's no way that Checo's driving that car next year because they lost this
I think so too.
championship purely because Checo can't drive anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things I did read
Mhm.
about is that since, for budgeting purposes, since there were so many incidents with Sergio Perez, that they've been using the same floor for him. They can't afford to like have a whole brand new one for him, so they've just been making repairs to it. So his car does have a little bit of damage,
I
but
mean, I don't care about any of that. Like he just if he scores points, he scores 1 every weekend. Like if you take all 4 drivers that Red Bull has had other than Max this year, so Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki, Liam Lawson, Checo, combine their points, they don't even get to half of Max's total.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like they need somebody who's going to score points. Because at this point, I mean, they're going to be P3 in the constructors because they only have 1 driver.
So Carlos Sainz to Red Bull. Oh, I gotta get
Like
myself a little Red Bull hat.
it could be. I mean, they like Red Bull is a team that needs a good driver. I don't
Mhm.
know if Liam or Yuki or Daniel Ricciardo or Checo or Franco is going to get the maximum out of that car. But I think one thing that we
Mm.
can all agree on is that every car that Carlos Sainz has driven, he's gotten pretty damn close to getting the maximum out of it.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean,
I
Well,
want to
that's
see
like
him on a Sauber.
he had some troubles when he started with Ferrari. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he really understands that car now. And
Mhm.
between him and Leclerc, it's like it's just really close. It's the same as I mean, it's probably the closest driver, comparison, like teammate pairing that you can make.
yeah, Piastri and Lando are pretty close
Piastri and
sometimes.
Lando, Georgian
Mhm.
and Lewis sometimes. But I feel like I don't know. Leclerc will have moments where he's just like insane, but it doesn't feel like Carlos is that far behind even on Leclerc's best day.
And he's such a good teammate. He like does everything for the team. He doesn't complain. He's just like, yeah, you want me to give a position? Okay, yeah, I remember we talked about that. No
Hmm.
problem. Like
And sometimes he'll
everything's
just go
so
out and win a
calm.
race.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll just be the best driver that weekend.
I love it. I love the drama. So let's go to
So
predictions.
much happened. We can skip it
Predictions.
today if anything.
We gotta do it. All right. Sprint poll. I'll go through all three. I
Sure.
had Leclerc, Will had Signs, and Eddie had Max. Sprint pole position goes to Piastri, so it means we all got it wrong. Color that
Sag.
thing red. Sprint winner was Lando, and I had Leclerc, Will had Max, and Eddie had Max. So all of those are red as well because our winner was Piastri. I'm sorry, Lando. As far as quali pool goes, Will and myself, we're gonna get a point for that because Lando got it. Eddie, sorry, Max Verstappen didn't make it out of Q2, so you do not get a point for that.
That's okay. I'll make them up later.
Maybe, maybe. Podium. Now we can each go through our podiums. I had Lando, Leclerc, Max. We don't need to discuss that any further. That's a
Nope.
red for me. Will, who was in your podium?
I had Lando, Ocon, Gasly.
He's such a BSer.
That's too funny.
uh,
So Will had Lando, Leclerc, and Oscar. And I had on my podium, I had Max, Leclerc, and Lewis. Once I heard that it was going to rain all weekend, I basically put all my eggs in the Max basket. And I guess I missed on the sprint, but made up for it in the race because it did not race. It did not rain in the sprint, and that Red Bull looked like poop. Let's talk about quali. How Lando was like 0.6 faster than anybody else. That McLaren still looks insane.
Yeah, but there's something about the guy driving the car that it just keeps making some mistakes.
He's so good at quali. I don't get it.
Imagine Max.
I think it's just being by himself, you know.
I mean, this was not an easy track to do quali. Like quali, it was raining, and Brazil is a very narrow track. Like it's hard to not have traffic, so you're just constantly dodging cars in the rain and still, qualifying 0.6 faster than the next closest person. It's pretty ridiculous.
Maybe Helmut Marko was right.
You think so?
Yeah,
it's possible. I mean, this was like, you could feel that this was a really important weekend for if Lando was going to win, this was going to be the defining weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out to be a complete 180.
He's weak-minded, and if Lewis Hamilton was driving that car, Lewis Hamilton would have clinched already. I'm not saying it. I'm saying that's what Helmut Marko said.
No, I get
maybe
you.
he was right, but very interesting take from him. Breakout performer and broken performer. So my breakout was Mercedes, and I would have to say that I don't think they broke out. And
I think
my
they were
broken was Oscar, and I don't think he was broken. I think he was just mediocre.
Yeah, it wasn't a great weekend from Oscar, but I mean, well, okay, let me rephrase. He won
did get the
10-second
10-second penalty, right?
He did, yeah. He had a bad race, but I mean, his sprint was amazing. He had, I mean, he got pole position, and the only reason he didn't win is because they swapped for points. His Grand Prix wasn't great, but I mean, he still finished in the points. I don't know if he could have finished any higher. I mean, he was really struggling out there, but so was everybody else except for one driver in particular.
Yeah, I don't think it makes him broken.
No, I agree. I mean,
it just seems like an
from
average weekend.
From the sprint, I mean, you can't have him broken when he gets pole position and would have won that sprint race.
Yeah, so no points for me there. Will, what was yours?
Well, I was counting on Colapinto bringing it, to Brazil, but he brought it to the wall, so no breakout for me. My broken, we can debate this, Mr. Checo. Checo P11.
Well, Checo scored
He
1 point in
Yeah,
the
that was in the
sprint.
sprint race. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no, we're
think
just talking about the
no, we're
Grand
talking about
Prix.
the whole
Overall,
weekend.
it's overall
Yeah, it's overall.
0
But
points during
but
the race.
but yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think Checo was pretty bad this weekend.
I would have to agree. I think
So I'm
Will gets
okay
a
with
point for
giving the
that.
point. Yeah, I'm okay with giving the point. I think Checo
All
had
right,
a.
Will.
You know what bothers me
Congratulations.
too? Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you. Going back real quick with the whole Oscar Piastri thing, I was upset that he bumped Liam
Mm-hmm.
because Liam was having a great race too.
Yeah.
Mm,
And with that bump that Piastri, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but bumped him and caused him to spin and lost a lot of time.
Yeah. No, I think
I
he
just
talked
wanted to
about it.
share
He
that
just said that he just went in too hot and couldn't brake.
because it was wet.
It was an ambitious move and he couldn't get the car stopped in time.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
unfortunate that Lawson has to pay for it though. But
Yeah, I mean, Oscar did pay for it too. I mean, they gave him the 10-second penalty, but it
yeah,
wasn't malicious.
right.
I just think that he was trying to make something happen.
It wasn't Max malicious.
So
What's
Let's.
your breakout, Eddie? And you're
So my
broken.
breakout performer, and we can debate this if you want, was Max Verstappen.
No, I think it's a breakout. There's no debating there.
I don't know. Maybe
He went
he
10
driver
races
of the decade.
that
without getting first, and he got first today.
so races like Mexico and Austin are hard to watch when Max is like driving in desperation mode. But
Mhm.
races like this are why I'm a Max fan, because
He's a
he is
goat.
so good. So I did have Max for
Listen,
my breakout.
if you left P17th and you won the race in the rain, 20 seconds. Let me rephrase that. 19.44, 7 seconds ahead.
17 fastest laps.
It's
You're a
crazy.
beast. So, dude,
Five fastest laps in a
I was
row,
telling
17
V,
fastest.
I just saw like every other few laps, I just saw a new ticker. Fastest
Yep.
lap, Max Verstappen. Fastest lap, Max Verstappen. I'm like,
He
dude,
was
is
just
he
proving
like competing
a
versus
point.
himself?
Yeah, he was just proving a point at the end. He's like, I'm the best driver out here right now.
Come at me.
My broken performer, I guess we can debate this if you guys want, was Lando.
I think he was broken.
I mean, he lost the championship this weekend.
Yes.
He started on pole and lost to a guy who started in 17th. And it's
Mhm.
not even like he finished second. He finished 6th.
No, I think it's clear. We don't need to debate it. Like, you get the point for that because he was extremely disappointing. Like, who cares if you got first in the sprint? Like, you blew your biggest opportunity.
Or started.
So
Yeah. So that was my broken performer. I kind of had a feeling with the rain that this was going to be the decider, and I kind of put all my eggs in the Max basket, thinking like he's just going to secure the title this weekend. So yeah, that's where I was. Let's do wild predictions.
Okay, so in my defense, Kevin Magnussen has performed well in this track before. And my prediction was that Kevin Magnussen was going to be in the top 10. And I put this here before he got sick and didn't show up. So
Unfortunate.
So that's a red for me. Will?
Unfortunate.
Before knowing what madness was gonna happen, I knew Max was gonna come out fighting, elbows out, and just like poke at people, especially Lando. So I'm like, he's gonna pull up another penalty here in Brazil for doing something, and he didn't.
Nope, no incidents.
No wild.
Eddie?
My wild prediction, I guess we'll have to wait to see if it comes true. But my wild prediction was that this was going to be.
No, I agree with him. I think we have
We're
to
not
wait.
going to know. We're not going to know until the
No,
next
you're
race.
gonna get a point 3 weeks later.
Yes,
we'll
like
know.
if he's not there for the next race, then Eddie gets a point for this.
Yeah, but my mild prediction was that this is going to be Checo's last race in a Red Bull. After this
Mhm.
weekend, I don't think it's true. Like, I don't think it's going to come through. I think they're just going to keep him for the rest of the season because it's going to be really hard for Red Bull to come back in the constructors. So there's no point spending extra money to try to like buy out Checo and get another driver in for the last 3 races, unless it's going to
Right.
be like the guy that they're planning on having in the car next year too. And at this point, I don't see that happening because I think the only drivers they're going to look at are Colapinto and Sainz, and I don't think either of them are going to drive a Red Bull this year. And
Mm-mm.
there's no point putting like Isaac Hadjar or something in the car for the last 3 races. But
Yeah,
we
I was
will
thinking
find
that
out
maybe
before Vegas
bump up Lawson to the second seat and put Hajar in the V card.
it's possible, but I don't see a point because like Isaac Hadjar is not going to have a seat for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
true.
Yeah.
we will see. That will probably be a no.
Yeah.
One last thing. After this race, there were strong rumors that Sauber is signing Gabriel Bortoleto.
Yes. And you
I
know
heard
what?
about
I
that
don't
too.
think it's going to be true because if it was true, this would have been the perfect weekend to announce it because of Brazil.
Because he's Brazilian, yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Mhm.
I I did hear that and we didn't talk about it. I forgot to mention it.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. It would be
We shall
dope.
see. It'd be cool having a Brazilian on
Um,
the grid.
hell yeah. Hell yeah. But if you, I mean, this doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to put it out there. One of the main sponsors for Alpine is Banco do Brasil.
Oh,
And
is it?
yeah, and they, like when they're doing their post race stuff, the hat literally says Alpine with the BRB logo next to it.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
not
And
Banco do Brasil, it's Banco BRB. Two
yes,
different banks.
it's a bank from Brazil. So
Correct.
well, so technical, but yes. So it was pretty good weekend for that sponsor. It's irrelevant stat, but it's out there. So the point update would be Veronica gets 1 point. So that moves me to
She's counting
21.2.
one,
Will
one,
gets 1, 2. Will gets 2. So
two.
Will's up at 30. And then Eddie did pretty well. Eddie got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, but for now 3. And if Eddie does get that Checo's last race was this weekend, he will be tied with Will 30-30.
Told you I was coming with that heat this week.
So silly. So yeah, Eddie had a great weekend this weekend.
It was. That was my favorite. That was my favorite race since Zandvoort of last year, which was another crazy rain race. So I think I know what my preferred method of
This
racing
beat
is now in Formula One.
this beat
It's
Canada for you?
crazy races,
This year's
crazy
Canada?
rainy races. Yeah,
Canada was kind of whack.
Canada. The only thing I remember from Canada is that George Russell ended up upside down in the middle of the track.
Yes, right at the end that was crazy. And they didn't call a red flag. They just let everybody drive by
He's
him.
like, red flag, red flag, red flag. I'm upside down in the middle of the track.
Okay, it's terrifying. But I have a couple of tweets to show you guys.
Hold on,
See.
let me raise up my
I don't
thing.
agree with that though. I think they drove really well.
I think
Okay,
so
let's
too.
go into the F1 troll account because they were just making magic today.
It's true.
Alpine on dry. I'm too weak. Alpine on wet. Unlimited power. Taking pole, main championship rival, and starting 15, finishing in P6 and losing 18 points to the main championship.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What the hell are 2 polar bears doing in Arlington, Texas? I don't get that one.
It's just like what are 2 Alpines doing on the podium? What are 2 polar bears doing in Arlington, Texas?
That's true. This one's great. Lando's championships hope, and then Lando, he's like the one who destroys his own hopes and
Yeah.
dreams.
Seriously, he does it to himself.
Think different. A new ad. That was like stupid. Let me see if there's anything good here. The FIA after that hard work from McLaren, and they still throw it away. Bottle of the day.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
It's like a British term. When you bottle something, you mess it up.
Ah.
Bottle.
This
British
was good.
slang.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, the way that like Max showed that overtaking was possible because he's just doing it lap after lap.
Yeah, but like
Maxim's winning. Look at that guy's face.
that's the best meme.
Man.
That's from a Celtics game. I think it was Celtics versus Heat, if I'm correct.
It's too funny.
And this is Norris's radio. This one's great. This
Yeah,
is
you gotta
the
pass this lap.
Leonardo
You gotta-
DiCaprio. They could have done it with Oprah too.
They could have.
Potential fraud. Man, that F1 troll account.
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna be really harsh on Lando.
Yeah.
This
but-
account did not hold back.
Yeah,
This poor
I
guy.
love to
dude.
see it though.
that man Williams had a bad weekend. They
Oh.
wrecked 4 cars this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Those poor mechanics.
No, seriously, poor mechanics, bro. Those guys put in overtime this weekend.
Okay, but
Mhm.
Aston Martin didn't need to repair this car twice at least.
Pinnacle of
true.
stupidity.
I don't know.
Aston
I don't
Martin
know.
mechanics after working 3 hours nonstop, seeing Stroll doing his warm up lap. Lando's pole position. This is worthless. Yeah,
Poor
it
Lando,
was
dude.
madness.
It's good that they have 2 weeks off for him to just like cool down because this one hurt for sure.
Oh, this is great. Live footage from the Brazil Grand Prix.
That's a good one.
This I just saved a couple of things here. Oh, okay. This is crazy, guys. I don't know if you guys caught the radio message where
You say I'm gonna finish the race.
Yes, did you guys see that
Oh
radio
yeah,
message?
yeah. He said I'm gonna finish this race for the mechanics. Yeah.
They did a very good job today, but my back is hurting. Man, this bouncing is not normal. Okay, look at him.
Did you
getting
hear
out
his
of the car.
voice?
Yeah, he was hurting.
Look at him.
But is it
slowly-
because of the track bouncing, or like
Yeah, it's because
just the car?
imagine
bounced a lot?
there's no cushions where they're sitting.
Carlos is worried as he walks
Mhm.
by. Hamilton was also complaining about the bouncing, but he's been complaining that Mercedes is hurting his back.
Imagine sitting in a bathtub. Like that's basically what they're sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hard carbon fiber.
Yeah, poor guy.
Alonso has to be rethinking his choices, man. Like from last year, getting podiums every race to this year, barely making it out of Q1 and dealing with this. Like he's got to be thinking, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah, but now he's got to be thinking, well, I'm about to get one of the best engineers to build a car for me. So
I mean, they're not gonna see the fruits of that until 2026.
yeah. Will he even still be there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, it was last year in
Okay.
Brazil, right? That
Oh.
Lando and Perez were just going at it.
Alonso. Yeah.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
This right here. Did you guys see this?
I don't know what that is. Is that he's talking about how
Okay,
many world
So
championships
the
he has?
reporter goes, Lando said, I don't have to change my driving style. If anyone has to do it, it's Max. Do you agree with this? And then Max pointed at the reporter and put 3 fingers up and said, 3-time world champion, don't have to change anything.
Yeah. I mean, he's not wrong.
No,
Get it?
he can do whatever he
Look,
wants.
nobody can say people call Max dirty driver, all this stuff. He had antics in Mexico and in Austin, but today was the cleanest race anybody's ever driven, and he just overtook the whole field and won
Yeah.
by 50 minutes.
These are the races where you're like, okay, he's to go. But then he has
Yeah.
races where you're like, why are you driving like that?
It's yeah. I hate watching Max in desperation mode,
Mhm.
but it's races like
Mhm.
this where you're like, man, this guy's so good.
Did you get to watch the Senna race drive around the track?
I did not.
Well, I got to watch it. I also
Nice
got to
time.
watch a grown man
Okay.
cry.
Who cried?
Kane.
Lewis?
Oh,
A grown
Lewis
man,
was
the only
crying.
grown
Yeah,
man that's in
driving the
my
car.
house.
Oh, Will.
Kane?
I looked at him and he was like,
Kane. No, Liam. Liam threw a toy in my eye.
yeah. Okay, this is really good. Formula One posted this picture, but look how they wrote
Yeah.
Funny.
I love that. Good job. This is funny. When it's raining, the FIA stops everybody. This was during yesterday when we were waiting to do quali,
Yeah.
and you have the pictures of the guys driving around, wiping up all the water from the
Dude, but
floor.
at one point when Eddie texted me, it's like, yo, they should do a red flag. And I'm looking at the cars passing by and there's like waves being created on the track. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
they got to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
It
then
was
they did
dangerous,
that.
man. At certain points where you see rivers running through the track,
On turn 4, everybody was
the-
spinning out on turn 4.
those cars are way, way, way too fast to be driving on oceans of water.
Yeah, I mean, in my little Hyundai Elantra, when I'm going 70 and it's raining on the highway and I get a little hydroplane, I'm like, oh.
You get a little wiggle, yeah.
These guys are going like 200 miles per hour in a car that weighs like a feather.
Yeah. It's nuts.
They're clearly skilled and talented. Even Stroll, he's skilled and talented, just
He's
not
one
on
of
the
the 20
same
best
level.
drivers in the world.
Yeah, well, I don't know about 20, but yeah, he's there somewhere. But
Put
yeah,
me in an Aston Martin.
we
Formula
had a
One's
lot
a
of fun today.
meritocracy.
A lot of fun today. 52 minutes into this one. We got 2 weeks, 2-week break, and then we're gonna be in Viva Las Vegas.
If anybody is still watching this, type potato so that we know in the
Oh,
comments.
yes. That's a good one. I like that. And then if
Ain't
you
nobody gonna type
do
potato.
write potato, the first person to write potato will get an overtake sticker in the mail.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then it's gonna be like a little lawyer thing at the bottom that says, "To participate in this competition, you must live in the United States."
No
must live
purchase
in
necessary.
Florida.
That way we don't have to pay expensive shipping.
No purchase necessary.
Because we got viewers all over the world.
Oh yeah. International.
Up to the first
All
3
right.
minutes. And then.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Okay, guys.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye. See you in Vegas.